She's trying out for the Olympics, and she's going to do it. And the record stood for 19 years, and they put an eighth of an ounce on one side, an eighth of an ounce on the other.
This is just next level annoying. Imagine your salary being reported every single time. It's currently happening to Alex Eala for every tournament she participates in. There's even 2 articles about the same topic of this. Literally, what do these articles even achieve? Instead of celebrating her wins and her achievements, the prize money is becoming the topic. What's worse is there's massive engagement about
Washington, D.C. has welcomed presidents, world leaders, and some of history's most unforgettable political moments. Yet, few expected one of the biggest headlines this week to revolve around a 20-year-old tennis sensation from the Philippines. Somehow, Donald Trump, the star-studded WTA 500 Washington Open, and Alex Eala have all become part of the same conversation, leaving the internet debating whether this is a sports story, a political moment, or something that feels straight out of a Netflix drama. One thing, however, is beyond dispute. What unfolds over the next few days could become one of the defining chapters of Alex Eala's career.
You've just watched Alex Eala beat the reigning Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek. What was that like to watch?
It's one of those special moments you get to share with an athlete who's just beginning on her journey, and it was really...
I really didn't think I'd be making this many videos about women's tennis at Wimbledon, but once I researched Alex Eala's story, I couldn't resist this one. If you don't already know the name of Alex Eala, get ready because she is the first Filipino tennis player to make it through to the 3rd round of a Grand Slam's singles tournament at Wimbledon.
Some players arrive at a tournament carrying nothing more than their rackets and gear, while others arrive carrying enormous expectations. Alex Eala stepped into Washington, D.C. with something even greater. She carried the hopes of an entire nation, the support of millions of Filipino fans around the world, and the attention of a rapidly expanding global audience eager to see what she would accomplish next after an unforgettable run on one of tennis's biggest stages.
Kevin spoke about Alex Eala, and honestly, every time that you guys speak about Eala in an off-court cuts or a full episode, those videos and those episodes seem to reach a lot more people. There's obviously a lot of hype behind Eala. And Greg, do you have any idea of why this is?
Well, easily. The Philippines, they haven't had a superstar in tennis. I can't remember a Philippine tennis player that's had the hype in a junior world number 1, trains with Rafael Nadal, has beaten Rybakina.
She also arrived with enough momentum to turn one of the strongest WTA 500 events of the season into one of the most talked-about tournaments in the sport. Adding even more attention to her arrival, President Donald Trump publicly welcomed her to the nation's capital, transforming what was already a major tennis event into a cultural moment that reached far beyond the boundaries of the sport and captured the curiosity of fans around the world.
She got the number 1. Can you believe she hit big with the ball? That's that good. There can only be one star in a family, please remember that. But they put a little eighth like a feather on one side, a little bit just to break the record.
This is really exciting for Filipinos all over the world. Alex Eala making history at Wimbledon. Have you seen this?
Yes.
For someone who grew up in the Philippines and...
Only a few days earlier, Alex Eala had walked off center court at Wimbledon after playing the biggest match of her young career. Although her defeat to Jasmine Paolini was disappointing, the standing ovation she received revealed a much bigger story. The crowd recognized they had witnessed far more than a talented young player competing on a grand stage. They had watched one of tennis's brightest, rising stars announce herself to the world. Most players would have stepped away from the spotlight, taken time to recover physically and mentally, and gradually prepared for the North American hardcourt season. Alex Eala chose a completely different path. She boarded a flight almost immediately, arrived in Washington, and embraced another enormous challenge without hesitation. That decision perfectly reflects the remarkable season she has built throughout 2026. Time after time, she has ignored the usual timeline that tennis expects from young players. Rather than celebrating one breakthrough before waiting months for another, She has continued stacking impressive performances until even experienced tennis analysts have begun questioning whether they underestimated just how quickly her game was developing. That growing excitement was already visible throughout the William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center before she even hit her first practice shot. American flags filled the grounds, but another flag appeared almost everywhere fans gathered. The red, blue, white, and yellow colors of the Philippines could be seen waving above the crowd, painted across handmade banners, and proudly displayed on shirts worn by supporters who had traveled for hours simply to watch a practice session. For a moment, it felt as though a piece of Manila had arrived in Washington, and for anyone who had followed Alex Eala's incredible journey over the past several months, that passionate reception came as no surprise.
Tennis Weekly here, and Alexandra Eala creating more history on the tennis court. She is the first player from the Philippines to reach week 2 at a major in the Open era. And Chris, I'm not going to lie, the reaction, the buzz, the support for Eala, it's on a scale I don't think I've ever seen before.
I've never seen anything like it either. I think the amount of attention she gets, the buzz that she generates is absolutely huge. I think it's bigger than some of the top players, the number ones in the...
Ever since her unforgettable breakthrough in Miami, Alex Eala's journey has felt like a movement rather than just a tennis season. With every tournament, the number of Filipino supporters has continued to grow. Madrid turned into a celebration. Paris felt more like a family reunion, and Berlin looked less like a tournament in Germany than a home event for the rising Filipina star. Wimbledon elevated that support to an entirely different level as television cameras repeatedly focused on passionate groups of Filipino fans, singing, waving flags, and creating one of the most memorable atmospheres anywhere on the grounds. Washington simply became the next chapter in that remarkable story. The nation's capital is also home to one of the largest Filipino-American communities in the United States, making it the perfect setting for another emotional milestone. Families who had waited years to see a Filipino player compete consistently on the biggest stages finally had someone to cheer for. Many had spent months telling friends, neighbors, and coworkers about Alex Eala, confidently predicting that the rest of the tennis world would soon know her name. Today, those predictions no longer sound ambitious, they sound accurate. The tournament itself only adds to the excitement, with several of the world's top 20 players entering an exceptionally deep field, where every round has the potential to produce headline-making matchups. Among those possible opponents is Alina Svitolina, a player Eala defeated convincingly during her outstanding grass court run in Berlin. Professional tennis players rarely forget defeats, especially when they come against a fast-rising young star. And if those two meet again in Washington, the desire for revenge will almost certainly be waiting on the other side of the net.
Won the tournament in Birmingham. Supposedly, there was 11 million people in the Philippines that watched that match. I mean, which are astronomical numbers. I've also read that she's got her own pink line of clothes coming out, and her rating for Nike was like a 5-star rating for like in her contract with these sorts of results. So she's box office, she's polite, she's a great tennis player, and wherever you go in the world, it doesn't matter if you're in Indian Wells, if you're in Wimbledon, in your Paris, it's almost like they're in love with her and they're just dedicated to her career. And
Marta Kostyuk also returns to Washington carrying positive memories after reaching the final here in the past, while Naomi Osaka continues searching for the breakthrough performance that could complete her return to the elite level that once made her one of the biggest names in women's tennis. Then there is Venus Williams, whose presence alone instantly transforms any tournament into a celebration of tennis history. Even after decades at the highest level, she continues to command enormous respect and attention everywhere she competes. Add defending champion Leylah Fernandez to an already stacked field, and suddenly every section of the draw becomes filled with danger. For Alex Eala, this is far more than another stop on the tour. It is a chance to measure herself against some of the sport's biggest names once again. The challenge becomes even more impressive because tennis history shows how difficult it is to maintain top-level form while switching surfaces in such a short period of time. Grass rewards quick movement, lower ball bounces, and aggressive instincts, while hard courts demand a different rhythm altogether. Only a year ago, Eala was fighting outside the world's top 140, searching for opportunities and trying to establish herself on the professional tour. Now she arrives in Washington as a direct entrant into the main draw based entirely on her ranking. Early speculation suggested she might need a wild card, but the official WTA entry list confirmed otherwise. There were no invitations, no special exceptions, and no shortcuts. She earned her place through results alone.
She speaks about it. There's so much humility in her. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing that touches your heart to achieve that.
At 21.
At 21, at a young age.
You can only imagine what she and her family had to go through, had to sacrifice in order to get to this point on a world stage like Wimbledon.
To get there? Oh my God.
And did you kind of almost see yourself as a young girl in the Philippines?
That achievement carries real significance because professional tennis is one of the fairest and most demanding sports in the world. Rankings cannot be negotiated or awarded. They are earned point by point, match by match, through months of relentless travel, sacrifice, and competition. Every position Alex Eala has climbed reflects countless hours spent training, improving, and proving she belongs among the world's best. Her rise has become one of the most remarkable stories in women's tennis. Looking back over the past several weeks almost feels unreal. She defeated Elena Rybakina on grass with impressive composure, overcoming one of the tour's most powerful players with confidence well beyond her years. She followed that victory by defeating Alina Svitolina, another accomplished champion respected for her consistency and tactical intelligence. At some point, victories over elite opponents stop being labeled as upsets and begin serving as undeniable proof of a player's true level. That is exactly where Eala's career stands today. Perhaps the most revealing moment, however, came after the matches were over. Speaking with reporters, Eala explained that a tennis court is never a place to doubt or diminish yourself. Those simple words resonated far beyond the sport because they reflected the confident mindset that has quietly transformed both her game and her belief over the past several months.
And I think that comes down to the fact that she is from a nation where there is only one player. It is her, and she is pioneering. So I think she's getting the whole of the country excited about tennis and into tennis for the first time, probably. And I mean, what an amazing thing to see. She's such a great ambassador for the sport. And I also think the fact that she has been a Rafa baby, you know, she is from the Rafa Nadal Academy. Maybe the Spanish audience are also getting supportive of her, as well as now a global audience. But Joel, is she now even more hyped than Fonseca?
Confidence in professional sports is often difficult to notice until it suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. A year ago, Alex Eala looked like a gifted young player hoping to earn her place among the world's best. Today, she steps onto the court carrying herself like someone who already knows she belongs there. That transformation has not happened by chance. Behind the scenes stands one of the most respected coaching figures in tennis history, Tony Nadal. For decades, Tony helped develop Rafael Nadal into one of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen, building not only exceptional technical ability, but also an unmatched competitive mentality. Since joining the Rafa Nadal Academy as a teenager, Eala has benefited from that demanding environment. She has openly admitted that Tony often tells her exactly what she needs to hear, even when those conversations are difficult. That honesty appears to be producing remarkable results. Reports have also indicated that Rafael Nadal has shared tactical advice through the academy during this season, giving Eala access to some of the greatest tennis knowledge in the world. When legendary coaches choose to invest their time and experience in a young player, it is rarely out of simple encouragement. It reflects genuine belief in the potential they see, and Alex Eala is proving with every tournament that their confidence is well placed.
Eala, because she's had this massive popularity due to largely the Filipino support all around the world, she's been slapped with this overhyped label. And there's been, I think, this kind of counter reaction to her popularity of, well, actually, she's not that good. In my offline conversations with analysts within the sport over the course of the last couple years, really since last March when she had the big run at the Miami Open, I've heard a lot of skepticism about Eala's game. I would say in terms of folks actually trying to analyze her game, they have underestimated her.
Apparently, those who have worked closely with Alex Eala see something truly special in her potential. Now, Washington becomes the first hardcourt test of everything that training and preparation have built. The timing could hardly be more important because the North American swing serves as the pathway to the U.S. Open. Washington is followed by Montreal. Montreal leads into Cincinnati, and Cincinnati opens the door to New York. A strong run across those events could push Eala into the world's top 20, a milestone no Filipina has ever achieved. Tournament organizers also recognize that the future growth of tennis depends on attracting new audiences from every corner of the world. When thousands of Filipino fans fill practice courts, travel across countries, buy tickets, and proudly wear their nation's colors to support one player, the business side of the sport takes notice. Growing fan interest fuels television ratings, sponsorship opportunities, and rising prize money. Players capable of introducing entirely new audiences to tennis become incredibly valuable, and Alex Eala is doing exactly that with every tournament she enters.
About her story. In August last year, Eala wore a t-shirt designed by Manila-based designer Georgina Camus, which featured the national flower of the Philippines, the sampaguita. And for her Wimbledon look, she chose to honor her heritage but also send a message of strength, with this Filipino phrase embroidered into the back of her visor. It said, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto," which translates to, "Once it starts growing, it won't stop." I love that. And the more I researched about Eala, I found out that she is definitely a fashion girly who loves to wear a lot of color on the tennis.
Popularity now extends far beyond the Philippines, with Filipino communities across Europe, North America, and Australia embracing her remarkable rise with incredible passion. Wherever she travels, airport arrivals attract excited supporters, practice sessions become packed with spectators and cameras, and every social media post sparks massive engagement from fans around the world. At times, it feels less like the journey of a tennis player and more like a traveling celebration with tennis at its heart. Yet popularity alone never wins matches, and Washington will demand her very best. Fatigue is also a realistic challenge after the emotional and physical demands of Wimbledon, where long battles, constant media attention, international travel, and relentless expectations tested every part of her game. Instead of dwelling on disappointment, Eala chose gratitude before immediately shifting her focus to the next opportunity. That emotional maturity may prove just as valuable as any shot she plays because the greatest champions understand that tennis never stands still. Victories cannot be celebrated for long, and defeats cannot be carried forever. The schedule keeps moving, and so do they. That is why Washington feels less like the conclusion of one incredible story and more like the beginning of another. Alex Eala no longer arrives as an unknown player hoping to surprise the favorites. She arrives as a genuine contender capable of defeating anyone in the draw, forcing opponents, coaches, and fans alike to view her through an entirely different lens.
There's a couple of reasons for that. Her compete level is through the roof, and players who have an ability to just compete, to outcompete their opposition, maybe when you first are evaluating her game and you're just taking the technical skills at face value, I think Eala is one of those players. She's able to almost rise above her technical capabilities because she competes so well. Her movement looks heavy, but her anticipation is incredible. She makes up for any lack of natural speed with anticipation.
Perhaps nothing illustrates the dramatic transformation of her career more clearly than the conversations surrounding her today. Just 18 months ago, many wondered whether Alex Eala could someday compete with the very best players in the world. Now, those same discussions revolve around how quickly she might break into the top 20. That change alone speaks volumes about the speed of her development. Whether her week in Washington ends with an early exit, a deep semifinal run, or an unforgettable championship, one reality has already become impossible to ignore. Alex Eala has permanently raised expectations for Philippine tennis. Every tournament immediately becomes more exciting because she is part of the field. And every draw carries extra intrigue because the sport's biggest names understand they could be facing one of its most fearless rising stars. Washington now has the opportunity to reveal whether the next chapter in her journey will become another unforgettable step toward greatness. What once appeared to be a breakthrough is steadily evolving into something much more significant, the emergence of a genuine contender with the talent to shape the future of women's tennis, while proudly carrying the hopes of an entire nation every time she walks onto the court.
Graduation from the Rafa Nadal Academy, obviously Iga and Rafa were there present. What did that mean to you when that happened?
I was super excited because every year I would see who was the celebrity guest or who was the guest speaker at each graduation. And I remember there was Roger, I think Paul Gasol was there one year, and I was so excited when it was Iga because she had just come off a...
There is another fascinating layer to Alex Eala's story that reaches far beyond rankings, prize money, and tournament draws. Every truly great athlete eventually reaches the point where expectations arrive before they do, and Eala has now entered that stage of her career. Fans are no longer satisfied simply seeing her qualify for major tournaments. Instead, they eagerly analyze potential matchups, calculate ranking scenarios, and genuinely believe she can challenge the biggest names in women's tennis. That psychological shift is one of the strongest signs of her growth because it reflects something statistics can never fully capture. Surprise has been replaced by respect. As Washington prepares to host another week of world-class tennis, tournament organizers undoubtedly recognize that one of the sport's fastest-growing attractions has arrived. Alex Eala has become the kind of player people schedule their day around watching. That connection cannot be created through advertising campaigns or social media alone. It is earned through unforgettable performances, relentless determination, and the rare ability to inspire millions each time she steps onto a tennis court, with Washington serving as the opening stop of a crucial North American campaign. The tennis world is about to find out whether her extraordinary rise is simply continuing or accelerating towards something even greater.